Yes. Welcome to another episode of the Goodman Factory. Welcome today. Today we have Goodman Manny, we've got Goodman T, Goodman Mike, Goodman Matthew, and Goodman Malik there on the mic. Sorry, on the camera. What am I talking about? Forgive me. I'm tired today still. Listen, thank you for listening in. Just before we start, just want to give you a quick plug. If you use the discount code GPOD1 on our website, goodmanfactory.com, you have access to all our products and you can get yourself a 15% discount. Just going to look at Malik just to confirm, 15%. We're feeling generous today. So 15% for all of our listeners today. Use that discount code to bless yourself or bless someone else. So, just going to go straight into it. We've been talking as a group, and it's been quite, I won't say it's a contentious issue, but I think it's something that's quite relevant to all of us now, young and old. And it's the conversation around staying at home. So why is there such a stigma around staying at home? So I'm just going to put the question out to you guys. What is your... don't drink energy drinks before you start a podcast, guys. It messes you up big time.
Done me in, mate.
So what are your views around staying at home? And do you think that there is unnecessary pressure on people now to move out?
When you say staying at home, we're not talking like staying in,
So
save lives, pandemic.
no, I'm saying staying at home to live with your parents. Cool. Yeah. So like, I give you an example. I've got family members who I know will probably be staying at home at least till the age of about 30, 31. And once upon a time, I think that would have been something that a lot of people would have looked down on. But I think there's kind of like an appreciation or understanding that in the climate that we're in now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put yourself in a position where you move out, you spend a lot of money renting and all the other things that come with renting, and you're then kind of like financially stuck. And I say stuck loosely because not everyone's aspiration is to own a home, but if your aspiration is to own a home, moving out in this day and age in London, in this climate, it's quite detrimental, I think, to your hopes of being able to move out. And so that's a conversation I have quite regularly with family members, and they're struggling because they want to have their freedom. They want to live, with their partner that they've been with for a number of years. They're 26, 27, but they also understand they don't have 1,200 or 1,500 to be able to put out, on rent. So it's kind of like that dilemma. So again, the question, what is your view and perception around the conversation about staying at home? Do you think there should be just a very clear kind of like, actually at the age of 25, regardless of your situation, you go out and you get out on your feet? Or is it actually there's no boundaries, there's no limits, there should be no rules and regulations, do what's necessary? So I'm going to start off with you, Mike.
I was going to say, I can only speak from personal experience, but from what I've seen over the last, let's say, decade and a bit longer, there was a proper, I don't know, there was a massive stigma against, especially guys. I feel if you're not living by yourself by a certain age, or by maybe your mid-20s, you're not moved out, you're not renting, you're trying to own a home. A lot of people, and there's a lot of pressure. I'll say there's a lot of what do you call it? Let's just call it pressure. There's a lot of pressure if you're not renting, basically. So I'm 30, going to be 31 this year, and I finally moved out with my respected partner. But I never saw pressure because I don't really care about what other people think, to be fair. But at the same time, there was slight pressure because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm 30 and I'm still living home at mum. Mm. She doesn't do stuff for me in terms of wash my underwear, for example. I still lived in my room, but I'm still under mum's roof. So it's still like I'm a man, but I'm still under my mum's rules and regulations and all the rest of it. But I'll say there's a massive pressure, especially for people that care about what society thinks, especially. And if you're a man that's in the UK or in London, I don't know. It's hard. I don't know how my younger brother feels. For example, he's 24, but he's not that bothered either. He's at home because he knows that it costs an arm and a leg to even rent. And I know how the only gain I've gained from actually moving out is knowing that there's an understanding with me and my partner, and we obviously share the bills. But if I was to move out by myself, the only gain I've gained from moving out of mum's place is the independence. That's it. Other than that, financially, it's not feasible. I would say it doesn't make that much sense.
So for you, you're saying that moving out was still kind of like contingent on the fact that you'd be able to afford this with your partner, and it's a choice that you've made together.
Yeah.
But if you and your partner weren't considering moving in together, you probably wouldn't have made that choice to move out, irrespective of the fact you're about to be 31 this year.
Yeah. So it would have been. I think I would have probably moved out maybe later, maybe in a year or two, as long as, I don't know, my finances can cope. Or I would never try to do anything beyond my means just because of what other people think, which is the way you should think. But let's be honest, a lot of us don't think like that.
No.
There's social pressures, and just, again, it's all social. If everyone else is doing it, you're trying to compete, or you're trying to be like everyone else, and you can't afford it. I just got to that point where I thought, this is what my capacity and my this is what my limit is, and this is what I can afford, and this is what I can do. So I'm just going to keep to that. But it takes a lot of, let's say, discipline and concentration, and a lot of things to get to that point. Because again, if I wasn't with my respective partner and we weren't going to share the bills, there's no way. I couldn't afford it.
Just before I move on to the other guys, quick question. Your brother, you said he's 24. He's very chilled and relaxed. I've got a brother, he's only just turned 25 now. Is there any pressure or conversation that comes directly from your mum regarding when she expects him to move out? Or is it just like, no? Because, and the reason why I ask that is because sometimes there's the pressure we have on ourselves, and then there's also expectations and pressures that come from family members. So I just wanted to know, does that play any part in your brother's thinking, decision making, what he might have to do, or is it?
Yeah, I think so. Because I'm not saying that he's babied or anything, but like, because mum doesn't pressure me and my younger brother. Well, but I got more pressure than my younger brother when it comes to moving out. I've wanted to move out from when I was 18. She said, "You are not going anywhere." So I stayed, and then that from 18 to 30, I just became relaxed, and also finances nothing was adding up. And I think for my younger brother, it's because his room is still there. You know what I mean? He just does what he likes. There's no pressure from mum to say you need to get out by the time you're 29 or by the time you're 26 or 27. There's no pressure there, and she knows financially it doesn't make sense. If you can't afford, what's the point in paying, I don't know, 800 or a grand for a room in someone else's, I don't know, five bed apartment or 5-bed house, when you could pay a quarter of that to me, or just help out with the shopping or whatever, and still have a room and still have the care of mum and your older brother and so on and so forth. So there's no pressure, really. My mum just thought it doesn't make sense to financially go and put yourself in debt, because she wants us to get houses, to own houses, because she's never owned one herself. She wants her children to be comfortable and stable to the point where, okay, here's a helping hand, and then when you get to that point where you can support yourself, and then help me when you can. So yeah, she thought financially doesn't make sense, so she doesn't pressure me and my younger brother, but especially my younger brother, because she's seen me struggle, she's seen me try to get there. It's not easy. So yeah.
I'm going to go to you, Matthew, man. I'm going to ask you the same question. So, what do you think about the stigma around staying at home? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is either cultural or social media. So social media stuff you can ignore, because it's not like, it's just, if you let that get to you, that's just a you problem. Just letting things that you see influence your decision. But I think culturally, even not to me yet, because I'm still at uni, but just to like cousins and stuff that are older than me, you kind of hear so when are you going to move out? I think it's like they see it as a necessary thing that you need to do as part of growing up. You know, you move out, then you get your own house, then you start your family. And I think culturally, we kind of, there's not been an adjustment yet to see that actually it just doesn't make financial sense to just move out just for the sake of moving out. I think with my own experience with uni, so this year with COVID and stuff, most of it's been online. So it's like, if I'm doing everything online, I might as well come back home and save all the money that I would have otherwise been paying rent. So then when I'm home, some of my aunties and stuff are like, "Oh, but why aren't you at uni?" But I'm thinking, why would I pay £650 plus bills to be on my laptop when I could be on my laptop at home for free. And it's that thing where it's like, actually, you thinking that I should be out of the house just because you think it's a sign I'm doing something is not going to influence my decision. I think, it's all finances at the end of the day, and it's just not. If it doesn't financially make sense to move out, you shouldn't move out, no matter the cultural kind of ideals. Because I think in every other parts of our lives, when we don't like what the culture is saying, we just don't do it. We just ignore it. And I think this should be another place where it's like, if it doesn't make sense, I'm just not going to do it.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Matthew?
I'm 21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay. Wise man.
I was not thinking like that when I was 21.
At 21, I wanted to leave my house.
100%.
No, but the thing is,
I
it's
didn't,
like,
but yeah.
I don't like it. Like at uni, my whole day is my day. Like there's no one telling me to go, oh, Matthew, go run to the shop or go do this and that for me. But the trade-off is just not worth it. Doing that a couple times a week or whatever versus like having all the free time but just spending it, but having to spend a stupid amount of money just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's something that other people should think about and ignore what everyone's saying about move out because you're getting old or da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just
It's different, yeah. I'm speaking with hindsight, but I can't imagine still living under my mum and dad's roof. That's for me. So like for me, so the reason why I moved out was because I was about to get married. So in my head, I had to move out. And that's a conversation that we're going to come to in a bit because as we know, there are other cultures where actually it's the opposite. You know, if you're about to get married, it's like, okay, great, we got a room for you. And there's a plan behind that. But the minute I knew I was about to get married, in my head, I started looking for a place that we're going to stay. And so that's the reason why I moved. And I think I moved out probably, I think I was about 28. I got married in 2018. Yeah, so I got married around 28. So for me, like it was kind of like non-negotiable. I needed to move out. My partner was ready for us to move into a new place. I do wonder though, if I wasn't married, would I still be at home? And a part of me thinks I would have moved out eventually anyway. And not irrespective of the financial thing, because I think for me, I needed to just be in my own space because of family dynamics. I just couldn't function underneath my parents' roof. My brother and my sister can. I guess the dynamics are a bit different between them and my parents. But for me, I think, I say this in hindsight, who knows? Maybe if I looked at the price at 27, 28 and was like, £1,000 or £900 a week, might have to just take that L and continue the arguments with my dad at home. I don't know. I might have said that differently. But in my head,
those plates.
yeah. But I look back and I think to myself, I don't think I could have stayed at home for that long. And that's not due to any pressure outside. It's just more because I just don't think I could.
Your own expectations, kind of.
Yeah, I just don't think I could function at home. But what about you two anyway? What do you think about it?
I don't know. I think there's definitely a stigma, but at the same time, we're a lot more understanding because of how expensive it is to live alone. So obviously we know that trying to own a property is like the inflation on properties and stuff like that is crazy right now. Obviously nobody wants to rent. And if you're from like an African sort of background or you was raised in Afro-Caribbean sort of house, then they want you to own your properties. So in our minds, we've been conditioned for such a long time to not want to rent anywhere. So you can wait. And before you know it, it's like 25. You know, okay, I can wait some more. 28. 30's coming. Then you wait. And then there's a lot more people staying at home. I have a friend who, he was like, by the time he gets to like 27, he has to move out. He moved out, but his mum didn't want him to move out. She was like, no, like I don't want you to go. So there was pressure to actually stay at home. But for him, he was like, he has to move out. But I think when you move out, you still have to look after your family or your parental home. And then that's why a lot of us also stay at home longer as well, because, you know, I'm still paying the bills. I'm still coming around every now and again, helping you with the shopping. And I guess that's part of life. So I think for me, there's definitely the stigma, like I said, but we're more, like a lot more people are staying at home because you can, and it's too expensive to move out. It's just that simple.
So I was gonna say, before you moved out, was you paying any of the bills in your parents' house?
I was contributing.
I was gonna say normally when you live at home with parents, most people say it's either free or it's next to nothing. But then I realized I was paying the rent anyway. I was paying most of those bills. It's just that I didn't have the freedom, which is why I thought it makes more sense for me and my partner if she's gonna share half of the bills and I'm gonna get my freedom away from mum and still pay the same amount, but obviously slightly more when it's private.
Paying your property though, yeah.
Exactly. And I also thought from when I had my son, I was like 23, turning 24. I always use him as an example. I thought, okay, I can't live at home like under mum's roof. But then I realized financially, my job them times as well was paying next to nothing basically. So there's no way I could move up. But trying to raise a family under mum's roof, I don't know how people do it.
I think when you get to, like, I think there's so much you learn about yourself and there's so much responsibility you gain by moving out. And I think that's why, there's so much pressure, or there was pressure to move out. And if you didn't move out, then you're deemed irresponsible because you haven't learned how to go, even buying simple toilet roll. When you actually see the price of toilet roll, you're like, whoa,
Fam.
this is, hey, who needs to wash their bum? Who needs?
Those use the top that you know what I mean?
These are things you don't consider, when you're living by yourself. But there's that, when somebody hasn't lived by themselves, there's so much you do not learn. And I think that's where it comes from. It's you need to grow up. You need to become a man or a woman. You need to become an adult. You need to learn about all of these things, what it's like, money management, paying your bills, buying stuff, budgeting and all of that.
It's interesting you say that because I definitely feel if I wasn't at uni and my dad kind of didn't see that I was like trying to move forward with my life. If my dad saw me at home every day just playing Xbox, I would have been out. Because it would be, okay, you don't want to do something, I'm going to force you to go and learn for yourself and find a place for yourself and know what it is to pay bills and stuff. So, yeah, I agree. Like, you need it in your life to kind of learn some things. And I think it's interesting as well sometimes when you're with someone who hasn't lived by themselves or maybe they haven't gone away for uni and stuff. Some of the decision making, you kind of think,
you can tell.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
You're going to use all of that toilet roll?
Okay. How much butt cheek are you going to wipe, bro?
You're going to learn.
That is funny. It's true.
No, you're right, yeah. Because for me, when I went to uni, that for me was that was when I realized, one, that I definitely wanted to like have my own space after, like when I had to come home. But it taught me so much, like cooking, for example, like the cost of cooking.
Why are prawns so expensive? That's what I asked myself.
What type of prawns are from what shop, bro? That's a very nuanced conversation.
Oh, you fancy, huh?
No, but seriously, for me, whoever made the point just now about like you need to kind of like have that experience to understand it. I think it was you, Matthew. That's key because when I lived away from home for 3 years, like, and for me it was like non-negotiable. If I'm going to uni, I'm living out, and I didn't even travel that far. I only went down the road to like Kingston, But for me, it was just like I know I could save a lot of money by commuting, but I would much rather just live in my own space. And I enjoyed it, There's things I wish I could have done better in terms of saving and using my money better. But I think just living at home by myself, understanding what it means to pay bills, like my mum for ages, like would say, like my mum would scream if she found out that there was like more than 2 lights on downstairs and nobody was in at least one of those rooms. She was like, what the hell is the lights on for? Whatever. And it's only until not at uni, but when I then moved into my own place, I'm saying the same damn thing. I'm saying, listen, why is the living room light on and you're upstairs? It's those kind of conversations. And it's like, now I started to have like an appreciation for like when my mum was saying like, why are you leaving the water running to go upstairs, to go get your towel, to then sit on the phone, to then go back downstairs to switch the water off? Like, do you pay these bills? You get it? That was the line you'd hear all the time. And so I think definitely moving out from
bill?
Yeah,
do you pay this bill?
The funny thing is, my mum used to say the same thing to me. I'll be like, but mum, I'm paying the bills. It's like she forgot. I'm like, I'm literally. I'm either helping you with the water bill, I'm paying the rent anyway.
Yeah. But the difference is that when you move in to your own place,
oh no, 100%.
you appreciate that actually I ain't just gonna leave the water running for the sake of it. Like,
And it's
That's
also all on you.
Yep, and you can't just be leaving that light on the TV on all night. What for? Like,
Even in the shower, you know, when I'm actually scrubbing, the shower is off. I'm not going to leave the water
so that's another
running.
level. I can't do that.
I can't leave it. I don't understand it.
Why did you leave it running?
I like to.
Thank you.
Why?
Why would you
What do you
leave it
mean?
running?
Because it's keeping me. It's keeping me.
It's keeping you warm. It's keeping you warm.
You have to find the right temperature. So you're telling me I have to do that all over again because I'm scrubbing? Nah.
Yeah, because if you can move away sometimes. I know, like some people have the shower head in the shower and you can move away and keep it running. But I don't see the point. I'll just switch it off.
Just switch it off.
Switch it off,
Nah.
and then you scrub, and then you
turn it
go
back
back
on.
on. Yeah,
That
turn it
sounds
back
like
on
some
the shower.
military training for me. I can't-
Niggas in jail.
That's Bill's training.
Just waiting.
Nah, that's another level of saving money, boy. I can't.
Bucket and bowl, that's why.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I never used to.
yeah,
You don't
yeah.
constantly bucket and bowl, and then while you're scrubbing, it's just bucket and bowl. You're wet. You now scrub, and then it's bucket. and bowl
When
to
do you
rinse it.
stop like using bucket and bowl? It doesn't stop, does it? Is
It does stop. I don't do
No,
it.
mine was stop. Mine only stopped this
Same.
year. Mine only stopped this year. To be fair, I was using bucket and bowl from when I was. That's 30 years of bucket and bowl. Bro.
The reason why it doesn't stop for me is because when I realized I could just walk and have a shower and water could just splash on my head and I could scrub at the same time, I didn't see the need to be getting on my knees again to be pouring water over myself.
There's something satisfying. I don't care what anyone
And now
says.
I've got to walk in, like it's a shower in it, so I haven't got like an actual bathtub in our ensuite.
just an-
So I've got no choice.
Okay,
But
cool.
a few years before that, in my head I was just like, well, there's actually a shower here. I don't know why I need to get on my knees. And it's cold. I just like the water splashing on me the whole time. So
bucket and bowl is just the one. There's something satisfying about it. I don't care what anyone says.
No, I'm
Especially when
in- I'm in
when
your
you
side.
reenact
Yeah,
the
economics
shower,
there.
You just slowly pour it on your
You
head.
do it slowly.
There's something satisfying about it. Or you get the last bit of water in a bucket.
and you tip the whole thing over your head.
Come
No,
on,
it's
man.
funny because at 7, that's lit. At 30, I'm just imagining you like.
And you can't put it on your Insta. You can't put it on your story. Oh, yeah, I use bucket and bowl. I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah.
only stopped using it this year. Imagine, and I'm 30. Bucket and bowl for 30 years.
Well, I have to ask then. Why did you stop?
Oh, because there's a shower head now.
Oh, so you really
and obviously
matriculated into
she doesn't. She's not
into a
used
new
to.
level of.
She's not used to bucket and bowl. She's used to shower head as well. So if I now
That's the
go and
real
say,
reason.
Can I? Yeah, can I
Exactly.
come in now? We've got a shower head, babe. Why would you want to use bucket and bowl? I can't go. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm used to.
Why is there a bucket in there?
So look at me like,
And you
bro,
can't share bucket. You can't share bucket baths together like how you would have
at
shared the
all.
shower
Can
together.
Can
So.
you imagine sharing a bucket? But nah.
Here you go, babe.
Your turn.
trying to make it look sexual. It's not the one. It doesn't
can't,
work.
you
It doesn't.
can't.
Yeah, it's not the one. Boy.
Yeah,
But,
no, yeah. It's that's why I was saying for me, 100% moving out, like you said, it gave me a proper understanding of what it would be like if I had to move out for myself, and I think that was key. But around the conversation of like, you mentioned it, the conversation of paying bills for our parents, whether we agree with it or not, I think that does also then become part of the problem as well. Because I think if you do eventually move out, but you're still contributing a significant amount to your family's home or to your parents' home, that directly affects you, your finances, and obviously the potential that you may have to save or to provide for your family. And I think that's another conversation to have, because I think I was speaking about it with Malik a few weeks ago. And is it I Am Athlete? I Am Athlete. It's a great...
What's that, Netflix?
No. It's a YouTube. It's a podcast of NFL football players. So Ocho Cinco and a few other guys. Yeah, it's a very, very good podcast. And one of the guys on that podcast made a great comment, and he said, you know, like in other communities, like money gets passed down, but in our community, money goes up. So when we're living at home, we're still contributing and helping, you know, and obviously it's contextual. But then even when you leave and you're living by yourself, take it from someone that's actually married and has a family, you know, there's still an expectation on you to contribute and to sponsor and to help family. And I think, you know, you would like to think that in the ideal world, you would want to do that anyway. But the difference is that there's an expectation that you do so. And it's a cultural flaw, in my opinion, because like we said, other communities thrive. The diaspora is quite big anyway, so I'm not going to generalize and say everyone in the black community, but certainly in West African culture, specifically Nigerian, if your children are doing well, it's kind of almost like, well, we can relax now. They're going to look after us.
Mm.
But your children doing well doesn't necessarily mean that they're wealthy. Doesn't mean that they're rich. It means they're doing well for themselves to get themselves maybe possibly out of the level or situation that you were in. And that's what you would want as a parent. Wherever I achieve in my life, I'm hoping that my daughter and my other children, they exceed that to different heights, wherever that may be. And our parents have the same expectations for us. But it's like they don't have the same rationale in that actually, in order for that to happen, we can't still be significant. We still can't be paying the bulk of your rent if we're expected to also then be paying our rent and then also save for the house that you believe I should get. So it's kind of like something's got to make sense. And it's not that I'm saying that you need to now contribute to anything that I'm doing, but you need to appreciate that if I am to level up, I need to do so without the kind of restrictions that may possibly have. So that's me speaking from personal experience, but I've spoken to a lot of other friends and family, and I've heard good examples of like, you know, like parents making good decisions and thinking quite clearly about their children's future, and irrespective of where they are now, they are putting things in place so that their children don't end up in the same situation as them. But then there are situations that I've come across quite often personally, but also I've heard a lot of friends around me and they're saying, well, actually, part of the issue that we're having with moving from home is that even when we move from home, there's a heavy reliance on me to still support my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so my view is that actually that's a cultural flaw, in my opinion. I wanted to know what is your opinion on that, because I appreciate that that's me speaking from experiences of other people, but also myself that I know. But for me, I think actually that's something that is a problem within our community.
I was gonna say, I've experienced exactly the same, but actually being able to explain it to my mum that if I continue to pay, like you want me to get this house, you want me to move on in life, you want me to do all of these things, but me trying to move on and you, not necessarily you, but this idea of I can relax now because I'm of age and my son is of age and he's doing better or doing well for himself and his younger brother's catching up slowly. Like, we can't progress any further because there's that. Again, I'm focusing on finances, but my mum slowly understood that it takes more. Well, she's more understanding. She's more lenient. She understands. She still tries hard. She still works hard. She does what she can to support me and my younger brother. Even though I don't need the support, I tell her, no, I don't need this, I don't need that. You've done your bit, like relax. But wait until I get to I think there's a threshold. When I get to here financially, or when I get to here where I can, I don't know, give you money to start a project in Nigeria, for example, or I can get you your own place, which is nowadays not as realistic because you need, who's going to be able to get their own house and get a mortgage on their own house and then buy them a house with a normal 9 to 5? There's a lot of people that can, but there's also a lot of people that can't. And right now I can't see it, but I'm definitely working towards it. So there is that thing when it comes to culture, they expect you to, well, I'm nearly 60 now, or I'm 60 plus and my son is now whatever, 30 plus, or my other son is whatever plus. I should be relaxing. You should be giving me almost like a salary.
That is looking after me.
And I always use my son as an example. I was using my son as an example. I wouldn't want him to get to a certain age and think, oh, dad's just rinsing me. It's not like he's investing my money. He's just taking my money because he feels like that's what he's entitled to. How much are you making today, Rome? How much did you make this week? Thank you. 50% is mine. If you complain, I'll give you a smack kind of thing. I don't want him to feel like that. I want him to feel like dad's still supporting me. Dad's really trying really hard, blah, blah. Dad's supporting me. Dad's always tried his hardest to even add value and add finances to my pocket and obviously teach me money management. My mum, obviously, she's slowly learning, but I'll give it to her. Like, she's always tried the hardest. Her last penny she always gives to me and my brother when we're of a certain age, when we're younger. But there's still that bit of culture that they expect you to, I don't know, just pay, just give them money, just give them cash. Just, I expect this. My son's gonna get his own house, but he's also gonna get me 3 houses as well. Oh, come on, man. You're a big man. In the UK, it doesn't work like that. But
it's a sensitive topic, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because I can understand, or I can sympathize in that actually when my parents came, for instance, they came with near enough to nothing. You know, their life experience is very different from mine in that they came in their early 20s to a brand new country, didn't really know anybody. The only ones in their family, and they've had to work and grind and do all sorts just to make ends meet. And and they don't have the same luxury that we have, where we can go to school. We know that education is a key. It's a pathway to get to a particular career, even if you don't necessarily use formal education. But we have more opportunities, more access to stuff that many of our parents just didn't. So for them, it's like they genuinely have worked and grafted and done 12-hour, 15-hour shifts for so long that they're at the point where they probably, for many of them, can't get beyond a certain point. And so there is that. I understand the expectation that, like, I hope that my children do so well that we as a family don't struggle anymore. But I think there's kind of like, I think they take it one step beyond that sometimes, where it's just like, oh, you got a promotion, fantastic. You should be buying me my new bed. Yeah. Or when are you going to get me a car? Like, and I'm not even being like obtuse or being like, I'm like, these are genuine like things where in my head I'm like, rah, like, so do you know what my salary is? Because even though I've got a promotion, that would have you thought about what that might actually mean to me? Like, what's the increase in pay, whatever? But then at the same time, I ain't telling you my salary.
Yeah. Because they divide it for you, bro.
I ain't telling you my salary because I've made that mistake before. So how much you earning? A bit more than before. So how much is that? I don't know. I need to look at the contract. I need to look at the contract. Let me call you back and I'll tell you. I ain't calling you back to tell you that. Next conversation. Because it's a trap.
Yeah.
Because in their head, what they're thinking, and bless them, but what they're thinking is, okay, cool. So if he's making this amount of money, that's fine. So
if you divide,
next time there's this issue or whatever, I know who to call. And it's not the case, because realistically, I've got my own family I need to provide for. I've got my own aspirations, my own projects, things I need to invest in myself, And that then becomes, I think, the vicious cycle that a lot of people have within our community, in that you feel almost indebted to your family.
In a way you are, and I think that's what makes it difficult. We have to be selfish for ourselves, because we have our own targets and goals and families to provide for, and even just for ourselves, right? Whatever your reason is. But like you said, they've migrated over to this country and sacrificed a lot. A lot of parents put their lives on hold for their children. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to go and work 2 jobs, or I'm going to go clean somebody's toilet, or I'm not going to pursue what I wanted to do. A lot of parents, our parents, if you were to ask them what they wanted to do and where they wanted to be at 25, they probably ain't doing it and probably put it all on hold for their children.
Facts, yeah.
So for them, they've sacrificed so much. They've come over here, wanted you to have a better life, wanted you to be able to live without their kind of, I guess, their struggles. And we're still in survival mode, but they've raised us with that sacrifice, where you've always had food, or you've always had bills, no matter what they were going through. They've always made sure they provided for us. So they get to a point where they're like, well, you're doing well. You have a job that, you're getting paid a lot more than I was when I was cleaning toilets or driving cabs or whatever. And I was able to provide. Why can't you sort of do something for me? And I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's so difficult to say no. You have to say no sometimes, but it's kind of like, I know you're saying you want a bed, but then you've probably not been able to buy the bed that you wanted for years, because you've had to buy, your kids' clothes or buy them food. There's probably times where our parents haven't eaten and we wouldn't know because we have had to eat. And I think once you look at their struggle like that, that's why, same with athletes as well. You imagine being from the projects or the hood, and you're doing whatever it is to sort of make money, and we already know how America's set up as well. Or some of the parents were on drugs or in jail, whatever it is, you're trying to make sure they provide. Then they go and make it in the NFL, and you're getting millions. And me, that was just living off check to check or on universal credit or whatever it is, on government aid, was able to provide for you. And you're trying to tell me you ain't going to buy me a car, or you're going to get me that handbag, or you're going to get me that car. I think, but you also have to have that balance of, yes, I'm going to pay you back because of the love and the sacrifices you did make for me. But at the same time, this is where I'm trying to go. So you want that bed now, or do you want to have a house later on? Do you get what I mean? So we have to eventually say no sometimes, but we've also just got to understand that these lot sacrificed a lot for us.
Done a lot.
Yeah. It is a two-way thing. What was you going to say, man?
No, I was going to say, like, adding to what he's saying, on top of that, like, our parents wouldn't ask us for things if they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of our parents would want to be in a position where they have to ask their kids for help. And like, so all of this that you have in your mind is like an internal conflict of like, well, it's my mum. I'm not going to say no to my mum. But also, well, this is my vision for myself. And I can't explain my whole vision to you. So it's even harder for me to say no because I don't have like, you know, do I have to make like I'm not going to make a business plan or like a life plan and present it to you on, these are all the reasons why I can't give you this right now. But it's in your head, and it's that internal conflict is really hard. And I think it will be a hard thing to overcome culturally because it's not just on us. It also requires the generation above us to understand the circumstances that we are in.
That's why it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's harder for us. I had this conversation with my boy the other day, and he was saying that we're kind of like at a disadvantage in that we have like our perspective is like multi-layered. Like we understand our circumstances, the context in which we operate in, life as it is, the climate that we're in, but then we can also appreciate our parents' like we can appreciate where their perspective or point of view comes from.
Yeah.
Because like we just said, you know, we know that you came here in 1980 something, you had children, you didn't have family here, you made it happen, you worked 2 jobs, whatever. But I think on the flip side of that, I don't think many of our parents have that same in-depth understanding or willingness to
I agree.
understand. And I think it's a willingness at the end of the day, because from personal experience, I can articulate it and say, I might not give you a business plan, but I'll make it quite clear. You know, like there's, you know, like you know, I'm not saying no, but you know, like just wait for things to kind of settle and do whatever. And sometimes it feels like it's just not hitting home. It's like it hasn't really registered because you might ask the same thing another time. And you're right. There is a part, I don't think that they want to ask. And in most cases, they don't. But when they do ask, sometimes I think to myself, damn, you obviously just don't get it. Like you don't understand. And then that's where it becomes difficult because it's like, you don't want to say no. And more often than not, I don't say no, you know, and that's kind of worked against me. Yeah. Because where I was supposed to set boundaries of some sort, I've let things go, I've let things slide, I've given things, and now there's an expectation. Yeah. You didn't set a boundary, so now there's kind of and that becomes an issue in itself because then when it escalates to a point where it's just like, okay, cool, this has got to stop now, or like I can't do this anymore. From their point of view, it's just like raw, like wow, like why, like you can't do this for me, like, and it's like no, I do appreciate everything that we've just said about your background, but it's like. But the reality of it is life is up and down. Yeah. I might have been up a few months ago, but if I got made redundant, let's say, during the pandemic, whatever expectations you had of me, it couldn't possibly be the same. I might have been doing that before I got married, but now I'm married. Now I've got a daughter. So my bills have almost doubled. You couldn't possibly expect the same you was getting before. And sometimes I don't always think they have that same level of rationale.
They don't understanding, yeah.
But do you think that we have the benefit of being able to look at life a lot more long term than they would have especially when they first came here? So in terms of like, if you've just moved to a new country, your paycheck is like, what can I deal with now? And how do I divide this for now and maybe up until the next one? Whereas us, we've kind of grown up with this like, we're planning for 10, 20 years in the future. And I think maybe that's where the disconnect is because their whole mentality and approach to money and stuff would be very different to ours.
Survival, basically, yeah. I think.
Yeah, I think they do have long-term vision because that's why they're asking. Like, I planted the seed 20 or whatever years ago.
So I need to see it.
This is my investment. Like,
it's gonna work. And that's what's so crazy. For us, our investments are what we're setting up, you know, properties or stocks or whatever it is, your own business, your education. Their investment was their kids, their children. So you're going to pay me back.
Some of them have multiple kids for that reason as well, right? At least one of you. One of you will play football. One of you be a lawyer, doctor. Yeah, I get it.
And that's probably where the pressure comes from in terms of like certain careers as well. I don't think it's coincidence that when you speak to like another Nigerian or certain people from certain countries in the black community, like they will tell you like, yeah, my mum wanted me to be a doctor, she wanted me to be a lawyer, she wanted me to be an engineer. What do they all have in common? Those people making good money. You get it? They're not, you know, they don't want to hear anything about you wanting to do drama or art. And football, they might buy into it when they've now seen that actually, oh, you're good. All right, cool. I'll take you on a Saturday now. Because before that, it's like you're going Saturday school. So for them, it really, so there is kind of a long-term vision in some ways, but it was always with us. Like you said, 100%. We were the investment. If I'm doing all these sacrifices for you, when you're going to school, you need to be getting straight A's, you need to be going to college, to uni, and then you need to become a lawyer. That way, you're set up for life, and we're kind of good as well. You know, everyone's good in that sense. And it's a very tunnel vision, because reality of it is I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a doctor. Don't even want to be an engineer. I'm not even sure what I want to do with my life. You know,
I'm like 10.
And I just turned 10 last week, man. So what do you want from me? And so when that happens, I think they do struggle. Like literally, when I became a teacher, my dad, I've said it probably on this podcast before, he didn't speak to me for like a week.
Why?
Because he didn't want me to be a teacher. He didn't respect the profession. That's one.
Okay.
We can go into why for like another day, but ultimately it came down to his own personal experience, but then the perception of the teaching profession back home in Nigeria, but also here, it's just not rated that highly in comparison to other professions. You get it? And you know that because you see it on the news all the time, teachers having to strike and revolt against, you know, whatever. So he just saw it as like bottom of the barrel profession. Why are you wasting your time with this? 3-4 years into the profession, no matter how well I'm doing. So I was reading an article today, and there was this young Nigerian boy that, you know, he's around your age. He's now he's going for mayor of London or something. You sure you don't want to go into politics? No, Dad, I'm all right in the profession that I'm in. You know, and that conversation will still happen up until today. It was only until I got my recent promotion that for the first time, I've been in education almost 10 years. First time he said to me, "Wow, like I'm really, really proud of you, son. Like, so good, so happy." And I was taking it in, and then like the pettiness in me was like, "You didn't say that when I became a teacher, though." I had to let him know, because I was like, when I was trying to convince, and I get it, but like, trust in me too. For him, he just doesn't see us, and I say us, he doesn't see black people get to the pinnacle of that particular profession. Whereas you see a lot of black doctors, you see a lot of black, you know, lawyers, you know, IT specialists, whatever it is. But for him, teaching is just like, what's it going to do for you? You're going to be on a bog standard salary. You're not going to get to the very top of it. And it's hard for me to articulate that to him. But in my head, it's like, no, I can see myself going to the very top of it. So it was kind of almost a convincing game with him. But ultimately, it came down to, you're in a profession that's not going to get you to another level of wealth. So it was a long-term thinking for him. But he was very narrow-minded. And they kill dreams like that, I think.
I was going to say, do you think it's a pride thing as well? Because I experienced something like that when it came to me graduating from uni. And mum was like, if you don't take the picture, Mike, you haven't graduated. Because she wants to show my graduation picture, not only to the Nigerians back home, but to all the Nigerians in the nation. Like, everyone has to know that my son has graduated. Like, we came from nothing.
Now
and
look.
he's gone through the education system. He's now graduated. How do you feel? Kind of thing. Like, even if you're jealous, I want you to be kind of jealous, but at the same time, I want you to know that I done this by myself.
Yeah,
like,
look at my son.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I feel like it's a pride thing as well. Like, they need almost that. Not is it reassurance? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, they need
Acknowledgement.
That accolade.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come.
I
like,
deserve
give me
the
my
accolade.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yes, you do.
Exactly.
Can you imagine your mum saying that?
I deserve some accolades.
Yeah,
Yes, you do, bro.
Mom was like, you haven't graduated, Mike. If you don't show that pic, if you don't take that picture, and you know what she wore that day? Her full gilly with
Yeah.
She was proud, man.
And it's a profile photo for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
still.
man.
For them,
Trust me, it's a pride thing.
It's their vision, but it's like, you can't force your vision on your child, but they do. It's not just in the African culture. You get it in many sort of other cultures, like the Chinese culture or Asian culture as well, where you have no choice but to be a doctor or a lawyer or something sort of that would get you respect as well as affluence as well. But then I love seeing stories of like success stories where the child has done it his own way or her own way, and the parents like, all right, now I'm gonna jump on board, and they're getting a Grammy or whatever it is, or an Oscar. But it's kind of, you made that kid's life so difficult. There was a random YouTuber I was on, and there's this footballer, professional footballer. He was like, he doesn't talk to his dad to this day, and they were like, he still gives them money and stuff like that. But he was like, when he was trying to play football, his dad said, I'm not talking to you. Said, if you're going to waste your life trying to chase this dream, you're never going to make it. Lo and behold, he's in the Prem. But he said he can't let go. And so many of us are so forgiving of what our parents did and said to us when we do achieve it. For example, what you were saying about when you finally got that promotion and your dad was like, I'm proud of you. Me, I'm like, it's a bit late. Words of affirmation don't work no more. Keep it. But do you get what I mean? Whereas if he had been encouraging throughout the whole process and that journey,
would have made it easier. For sure.
I personally don't mind the challenge. Like show me why you want to play football, or show me why you want to be, I don't know, a YouTuber instead of a doctor. But like I'm the kind of person that I don't need to necessarily prove a point, but I'm quietly confident that once I put my mind to anything, I'll achieve it. And I'll be like, once I bring the paycheck home, or once I bring home that profession or that promotion, Mum, this is the reason why. Mum will be like, yeah, I challenged you, but I wanted you to make it at the same time. But I know some of my friends, and I've heard some other stories like you're saying, where they've tried really hard. The guy's made it to the Prem, which is the highest level of football in the UK. But he still gives his dad money, but his dad wasn't supportive at all. I personally don't see a problem with your dad challenging you or your parents challenging you to say, like, I don't see the vision, but I want you to show me. Which is the way I would be with my son. But you telling me that you telling your son or your child you're not gonna make it, like you're just being, that's stupid. Why do you want to do that? And then when they do make it to the highest level of that, whatever that profession they choose,
not happy to
now you want to jump on board. Now you want to enjoy. You want to enjoy the you know what I mean, the winnings and
and that's the key. If you do both, which is that you doubt that that's the best pathway to take. But the whole time you're still challenging them and saying, you know what, I want you to do great or whatever. I want you to do the best. I can that's a bit forgivable. Like for me, my dad always did, in fairness to him, say, you're better than this. You're better than this. You're better than this. And at first I used to be mad offended. Because I used to think, better, like what are you trying to say? Like, what are you saying about me? What are you saying about my profession? What are you saying about this and that? But in his mind, he was doing something that a lot of parents don't do. And I teach children who have parents that do not have any aspiration for them whatsoever. And so I can appreciate that what my dad was doing is he didn't want me to settle. Where he went wrong was that he was belittling the dream, the vision that I did have. And I articulated it as clearly as I could. This is my passion. I could have done many other things that I'm maybe equally, maybe not as equally as good at, but things I'm good at. I could have done that. I'm doing this because I don't want to do anything else. It's what my heart is in this, like, for the long run. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And that's where I think it goes wrong with parenting, generally speaking, all cultures. Like, if your child is passionate about something, you got to cultivate it. It may flop, but if you allowed it to flop because you didn't put in the time, didn't give them the support, then that's on you if the child doesn't make it as a footballer, or if they fail on their journey to becoming an artist or whatever. Because you can say, see, I told you, it's not for you. But the child's probably going to look back at it and be like, but the whole time I was doing it, you didn't support me once. You didn't talk to me for a week or two. Because I was doing what I wanted to do. You didn't take me to training, but I told you I love football.
That one was personal. I felt that one.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you keep telling someone that they're not going to make it, or like they keep projecting their stuff onto you, you're going to become, or like if it's done for long enough and you're the kind of person that absorbs whatever, whether it's positive or negative around you, you're going to become that thing. 100%, so it is
and if it's not the self-fulfilling prophecy, which is that you become or you don't become it because someone said to you, you can't become it. The opposite of that is that you do make it, but then you've had to make it and you've had to graft harder. You've done it without the support system that you probably, that every child, every young person, every person needs. Human, and on top of that, now when you've made it, you've got a very skewed perception of family and support or whatever, because that footballer, he's giving his family money, but he's gonna have that resentment unless he's got a real forgiving heart. Because he knows what he had to do, and the whole time he was doing that, he probably didn't, like you said, Matthew, you weren't driving me
Yeah.
up and down Coventry or whatever. I was having to do it on my own. I was having to graft extra hard when really you could have probably helped me, but you was choosing not to because you didn't want to believe in me or whatever. And that resentment can affect adults that are successful.
Yeah.
You can't let go of it. It's
Yeah.
You've been rebellious for so long because that's what it is. You're rebelling, and you become challenge. You just challenge everything now. Like you said, your parents are challenging you, but now everything's a challenge, and you still resent them even though you do forgive. It's like, oh, if only, and you can't let go.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
I bet he's handing that money over. Sorry, Matt. If when he's handing that money over, he's gonna be like, whether it's 15 bags or £2, handing that money over to his parents, knowing that, let's say his mum was more supportive, but his dad was a complete F word. You know what I mean? Just handing it over, like, you still want to benefit. You still have the chest to receive this money when you weren't even supportive. Like, I would feel a way in a certain, but I'm more of a forgiving person. I understand whatever your vision was for me or whether you supported me or not. I'll hand that money over with less gritted teeth or without a swear word behind it. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that it's hard, handing that money with resentment behind it is just mad. I'll just think, I don't know.
Matt, what was you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, like, and then that resentment goes into other parts of your relationship with your parents and with other people. Like T was saying, everything becomes a challenge. You don't want to ask anyone for help because, well, I've gotten this far by myself. I don't need anyone. And then in your life, you know, you get married, you have kids, whatever. You're not gonna want to ask your parents for help and advice or
You
support.
see it all the time. It's mad.
Yeah, it's crazy how like it's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
That growing adults and people have to deal with, and it is mummy and daddy issues when you think about it. Like,
You don't want to pass it on to your kids, especially as well, man.
there you go. So I think generally speaking, the conversation, even though we moved away from the stigma of moving out from home, it's still kind of like really circulated around parenting and how to be of support to each other. But listen, lads, we're going to round it up there. Thank you once again for everyone that's tuned in to listen to another episode of the Goodman Factory. Yeah, I mean, you've had myself, Goodman Manny, Goodman T, Goodman Mike, and Goodman Matthew here. It's been a pleasure to be able to speak to you. One of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a plug before we go. So once again, if you go on to goodmanfactory.com, you can get any product for yourself or for someone else. And when you do that, you can use the GPOD1 discount code and get yourself 15%. Yes, that's right. 15% off any product. Utilize that, use it, because it's not guaranteed to be there the next day. So definitely, if you're listening today, go onto the website, goodmanfactory.com, and get yourself or bless someone else with a product using GPOD1 as your discount code. That is it from us. We look forward to speaking to you again, and have a lovely weekend. Take care. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
Inside.